Hello, this is Dr. Acha. We're going to be looking at an important tool that will help you as you study and understand how emotions work. We're looking at the Atlas of Emotions by Dr. Paul Ekman. Atlasofemotions.org is how you get to it. You can see it right here in the URL space. Now, let's start right here, and we see in the Atlas here that our emotions unfold in a timeline that begins with a trigger. So emotions are going to start with a trigger here. This is a trigger that initiates an emotional experience and ultimately results in a response. This is a response here. This is an emotional experience right here. It's going to allow us to try choosing emotions from a list below, from this list right here, like this list going on right here, and see how things work. Notice how the same trigger can lead to a different response depending on the emotion we feel. Okay, this is an important thing to note here. Okay, so let's see. Let's click further and go, and we see here the trigger. Okay, we notice that the trigger occurs within a context. Okay, current circumstances and events the precondition, the present condition, and our worldview here is, which is influenced by our prior experiences, personal history, and inherited universal scripts about important events. That plays an event, and the event here is also called a stimulus, and it's what leads to a trigger. If it produces an emotional response, then it's called a trigger. Okay, so we see here. You can go through this and really explore the site and see how it works. Read this. Then we had here the right here is okay. Right here is the stimulus or the trigger, and then this is a precondition, and this is how your worldview interprets it, and this is a physiologic state, the physiologic response, and this is a mental state, and this is the overall emotion you feel, and this is one of the responses you have here. Okay, and you can go, you can keep clicking and going. You see the responses are getting shown here. This is a behavioral response. See here, we have a choice in how we respond. This is really important, although sometimes it's hard to feel in control of our responses. Some responses are more constructive than others. We're going to see here that in this scenario, for example, this would be a constructive response, a destructive response, and an ambiguous response. Okay, and you can click this and go down. We're not going to and go down and see how it shows emotional saturation, which is the idea that when an emotion is triggered and we're in the grip of that emotion, there is a limit, a time limit. The emotion might last a minute or so, and then the emotion cannot continue forever. And that limit, and when you have the emotion, limits your ability to think clearly and to choose how you respond. But as time passes, we gain some clarity and the ability to make thoughtful choices. Okay, with awareness, we can pause before we respond and choose the response that best serves our goals. This will be a constructive response. And the good thing about emotion, even though emotions we've seen in our course, that emotions affect our thinking, our attention, our creativity, our learning, relationships, and all of that. That emotions don't last very long. You have an emotional burst, an emotional experience, and then there is an after effect that is left. So to see the big picture, you can click here to see the big picture, which shows you this, and this is showing anger. You can click and see different emotions here. See how it plays out, and see how it plays out. See the different emotions. Something that I want you to keep in mind here, really quickly, we're going to look at it, is the idea that The same emotion, the same stimulus can trigger different emotional responses. Notice here that this is anger. Under these circumstances, you're low on sleep, and you're reminded of a bully. You're going to feel anger, okay? And but if you go, and this is going to be a physiologic response. This is the tenseness by the autonomic nervous system and the endocrine system, and this is going to be your mental experience of the emotion, and these are your responses here. This is your constructive response, your destructive response, and your ambiguous response. So, but you're going to have that. You notice that as we go through here, the same stimulus as we had under anger. A friend gets angry with you, but under different circumstances, you're going to feel different things. See here, still a friend gets angry with you, the same exact thing, but you're grieving. You're going to feel disgust. A friend gets angry with you. You feel sadness because you were listening to sad music and you interpreted that as a rejection. Okay, and enjoyment, your friend can get angry with you and you actually still enjoy the thing because you see your friend as a sore loser, and you might actually mock your friend a little bit, and you enjoy the situation. So further explore the side, you can see here experiences. For example, here Dr. Ekman and his colleagues, they show some of the basic emotions, and here they show you each of them is a family of emotions. You can see them on this line still, and when you click on it here, it gives you the definition of the emotion. I think this is a very important part of learning. I would encourage my students to click on all this and sort of see what these definitions are, but know that there are many emotions, but the idea of basic emotions as presented by Ekman and other colleagues, other researchers, is a family of emotions that are common and universally expressed in about the same way around the world, with some differences, but universally the same way. You see the same thing here for fear. Okay, if you click on each of them, you're going to see a definition, and you should learn what it means. That increases your vocabulary. Okay, you do the same thing with disgust, and it helps you increase your vocabulary. And you can do the same thing for enjoyment. And he lists them on the least intense to the most intense in terms of intensity. Okay, we've seen the mood meter is something. It also helps you in a different way to be able to learn and understand emotions. This is a list here. You, again, click on them and look and learn learn what each of them means. It would help you with your growth. Okay, so we're then responses. You can click on each of them and be able to learn common responses. For example, look at anger here. What are the responses that people usually have when they feel anger? They're the same for all of the emotions in the family of anger. You could dispute, you could be passive aggressive, you can insult, okay, you could quarrel, scream, yell, simmer, brood, suppress. These are just the usual responses that people have when they feel anger, not necessarily constructive, or you feel like undermining, using force. These are the things it makes you feel like doing. Fear, okay, you see here real quickly, fear causes you to want to avoid the situation, freeze, hesitate, ruminate. You may ruminate and worry about it, screaming, withdrawing, worry. The same thing. You can see what does disgust. What kinds of responses? Avoiding, dehumanizing, vomiting. When you're disgusted, when you feel disgusted over something, you step on poop, or or somebody does something that just is disgusting. People can vomit or withdraw. Sadness. You can look at sadness and see the responses for sadness. The same thing here. When you can feel ashamed, mourn, protest, ruminate, seek comfort. These are just examples of some of the responses. Now, this is not in any way saying that these responses are constructive. This is showing you destructive responses that people often have. Okay, and here for the enjoyment, you can exclaim, and gloat, indulge, maintain savor. Okay, so I think this resource is a very important one. I encourage you to check it out and learn and increase your emotion vocabulary and learn how emotions work.